everyone, and welcome to another edition of A Powerless Mage Presents. I am so glad you have decided to plug in and join us today.
It's good to be here.
If you are a regular listener, you know the drill by now. We do not just skim the headlines here.
No, not at all.
We don't do that 5-minute summary that leaves you feeling like you ate a sugar packet for dinner, Quick energy, but no substance.
Right.
No. We take a stack of articles, research papers, essays, the really heavy stuff, and we go straight to the bottom. We call it a deep dive. And today, today we have something that I think is going to fundamentally change the way you look at your own brain and your own life.
It is certainly a heavy hitter today.
Yeah.
We are looking at a piece of writing that's, it's deceptively simple on the surface. It uses small words. It talks about everyday things.
Right.
But if you actually let the concepts inside this essay sink in, it is the kind of material that rearranges your furniture, mentally speaking.
Oh, I like that.
It challenges the very structure of how we perceive ourselves.
Exactly. And look, before we get into the definitions and the frameworks, and there are some really cool frameworks coming up, I want to talk directly to you, the listener, for just a second.
Yeah.
Just you and me. I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be totally honest with yourself. Do you ever feel dissatisfied? And I don't mean my coffee is cold dissatisfied. I mean a deep, an existential dissatisfaction. Like you're reading the books, you're listening to the podcasts, maybe even this one. You're scrolling through endless life hacks on social media.
You're consuming.
You are consuming content at a rate that would make a supercomputer blush, but nothing actually changes.
It is the loop.
Yeah.
It is a very, very common condition in the modern world.
The loop.
The sensation of motion without movement. You are spinning the wheels, burning the rubber, making a lot of noise, but the car has not moved an inch.
Wow.
You are gathering ingredients, filling your pantry until it is overflowing, but you are never actually baking the cake.
That is such a painful visual because I think we have all been there. You are drowning in facts, but you feel empty. You feel stuck. Well, that is exactly the problem we are tackling today. We are doing a deep dive into an essay titled The Path of Knowledge. It is a fascinating, persuasive piece that synthesizes ideas from two very different thinkers, Luis Alfonso Ruiz Soto and the famous and somewhat controversial anthropologist and mystic, Carlos Castaneda.
And just to clarify for everyone right off the bat, because I know names like Castaneda can bring up certain associations.
Sure.
This isn't going to be an academic lecture on anthropology or a biography.
Yeah.
The source material emphasizes that this is a guide. It is a roadmap.
The practical guide.
Exactly. It is designed to solve that feeling of emptiness we just talked about by dissecting the mechanics of how we learn, how we grow, and specifically the massive gaping canyon of difference between simply knowing things and truly understanding them.
It starts with something that drives me absolutely crazy, synonyms, or rather, how we get lazy with words. The essay opens with this really sharp analysis of how we use language to lie to ourselves. It starts with the difference between hearing and listening. We use them like they are the same thing, don't we?
We do, and it is a fundamental error.
Yeah.
This is the perfect place to start. Think about hearing. Hearing is a physiological event. It is mechanical.
Right.
Sound waves vibrate through the air, they hit your eardrum, the little bones in your ear shake, and your brain registers a signal. You have almost no choice in the matter.
It just happens.
It just happens. If a car honks outside your window right now, you hear it. Your biology forces you to hear it. It is passive.
Right. It happens to you. You are the victim of the sound, in a way.
Precisely. But listening is an act of will. It is a psychological event.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. It is taking that raw data, the sound of the honk, and directing your consciousness toward it to decode meaning. Listening requires effort. You have to choose to listen. And the essay argues that because we use these words interchangeably in casual conversation, we start to think they are the same thing.
Yeah, we blur the lines.
We confuse the biological accident with the intentional act.
I hear you. Right. We say that all the time when we aren't actually listening at all.
All the time.
And the essay argues we make this exact same mistake with two other massive concepts, information and knowledge. We think they are synonyms. We think, because we read the Wikipedia page or saw a documentary, that we possess knowledge of the topic.
That is the trap. That is the core error. The thesis we are exploring today is that this confusion is the root cause of that stuck feeling.
Okay.
We are confusing the blueprints of a house with the experience of actually living inside it.
Yeah.
We are staring at the paper, looking at the drawing in the fireplace, and wondering why we aren't warm.
That is a killer line. wondering why we aren't warm. We have the blueprint, but we are freezing. So, our mission today is to figure out how to get off the paper and into the house. We need to unpack this.
We do.
To get to actual knowledge, the source says we have to start by understanding the being. Now, hold on, because that sounds a little abstract. Are we getting into deep metaphysics here?
It sounds abstract, but it's actually the most grounded thing there is. To understand knowledge, we must understand the container of that knowledge. You, the self.
Yeah.
This source material sets up a paradox here. The being is the most abstract concept in language.
Right.
I mean, try defining being without using the word be.
Right, you can't.
But it is also the most real thing we have.
Because it is the only thing we actually experience directly. Right. I can doubt that the table in front of me is real. Maybe we're in a simulation, maybe I'm dreaming. But I can't really doubt that I am here experiencing it.
Correct. That is the classic philosophical foundation. And to make this usable, to take it out of philosophy class and into real life to help our listeners, the essay breaks existence down into two camps, the I and the it.
Okay, let's break this down. The I and the it. It sounds simple, almost childishly simple, but I have a feeling it is not.
Not at all.
Let's start with the I. Who am I in this framework?
The I is your internal landscape. It is the software. It includes your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, your ideas.
And everything inside my head.
Inside your head, yeah.
Yeah.
Your culture, your values, your sense of identity. When you close your eyes and talk to yourself inside your head, that voice, that is the I. It is the accumulated result of your history.
Okay, that tracks. My personality, my soul, whatever you want to call it, that's the I. So what is the it?
The it is everything else, the external world, your job, your house, your family, your partner, your car. And here's where the source material throws a curveball that usually stops people in their tracks.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
Your body.
Wait, hold on. Pause. My body is an it.
I feel like my body is pretty firmly part of me. If you pinch me, I say ouch, not it says ouch. My hands, my eyes, my legs, that feels like I.
It feels that way, doesn't it? We
Okay.
are incredibly identified with our biology. But think about it deeply for a second.
Okay.
You can observe your hand. Put your hand in front of
Yeah.
your face right now. You can look at it. You can analyze it. You can say, my hand has a scratch on it. Who is the you observing the hand?
Okay. So there's an observer and an observed. I am the one looking at the hand.
Exactly. The hand is an object of your perception, just like a coffee cup or a table. You possess it. You say, my hand, just like you say, my car.
Ah,
But if you lose the car, you are still you. If you lose the hand, God forbid, you are still you. You are still the observer.
I see.
Therefore, in this specific framework, the body is part of it. It is the vehicle you are driving. It is the hardware, not the software.
That actually makes sense. It creates a bit of distance. It stops you from identifying too closely with the physical. So the I is the driver, the body is the car, and the world is the road. A perfect analogy. And the barrier, or a bridge between these two worlds, is consciousness.
Consciousness.
Consciousness is what allows the I to look at the it and make sense of it. And crucially, it allows us to take things from the it and pull them inside, into the I.
Ah, okay.
This is the mechanics of how we grow. We are constantly harvesting from the it to build the I.
The source gives a really beautiful example of this process, the creative father. Can we walk through that? Because I think that really solidified it for me. It moves it from theory to reality.
It is a perfect example of integration. So imagine a child, and this child has a father. The father is a separate person. He exists outside the child's mind.
Right.
So in our framework, the father is part of the it.
Right. He is over there. He is external.
Now, let's say this father is incredibly creative. He paints, or he solves problems in unique ways, or he tells amazing stories.
Okay.
The creativity is a quality he possesses. It is currently residing in the it. The child does not have it yet. The child is just a witness.
Okay. The child is just watching this external event.
But the child watches him closely. The child uses consciousness to observe the it. The child sees the benefits of that creativity.
Yeah.
They see the joy it brings the father, the way it solves problems, the way it makes people smile.
They get inspired.
They feel inspired. They start to learn from him. They mimic him. Slowly, they adopt creativity as a value for themselves. They practice it. They internalize it.
And suddenly, 20 years later, I am a creative person.
Exactly. You have taken a quality that was external floating around in the it, and you have integrated it into the I. Now, creativity isn't just something you see. It is who you are.
Wow.
This is the core message of this section. The I isn't fixed. You aren't born with a finished personality.
No.
The I is built brick by brick from the moment of conception through millions of experiences.
Yeah.
We are constantly building our I by absorbing things from the it.
That is empowering, but also a little scary. Because if we are just absorbing things from the it to build our personality, it means we have to be extremely careful about what we absorb.
Precisely. If you are not conscious, if you are not paying attention, you might absorb values or habits from the it that do not serve you. You might absorb your parents' anxieties, your culture's prejudices, or your friends' bad habits simply because they were there in the it, and you drag them into the I without checking the label.
You just let them in the front door.
Exactly.
So before we move on to the mechanics of how we actually do this learning, I want to ask you, the listener, a question. And I want you to really pause and think about this. Don't just hear me, listen to me.
Yes. Take a moment to reflect on this.
Think about your life right now. What are the things you think are you, your I, but are actually just the it? Is it your job title? If you lost your job tomorrow, would you lose yourself? Is it your bank account? Is it your physical appearance? And on the flip side, what values or qualities have you truly pulled inside from the outside world to become part of who you are? Are you building your I on purpose, or is it just happening to you by accident?
That is the fundamental question of identity. Are you the architect, or are you just living in a house built by random passersby?
Okay, let's assume the listener is ready to be the architect. They want to build their I intentionally.
Good.
The essay lays out a process for this. It is not just see thing, learn thing. There is a hierarchy, a ladder.
A ladder is a great way to visualize it. This is the progression from raw data to true experience. And I want to stress this. This is where most people get stuck.
Okay.
This is the explanation for that dissatisfaction we talked about in the intro. People climb to the first or second rung of the ladder and think they have reached the top.
They stop climbing too early.
Way too early.
The text mentions that learning isn't just a rational process, right? It involves the senses, emotions, the body.
Yes. We tend to think learning happens only in the brain, behind the eyes.
Yeah.
But true learning is holistic. It involves the nervous system, the heart, the gut. But let's start at the bottom of the ladder. Step 1.
Data.
Data. Words, images, raw input. The zeros and ones. Correct. Data is noise. It has no inherent value. If I show you a random number, say 42 or 7,000, that is just data. It means nothing on its own.
It's floating in a void.
It is a brick sitting in a field. It isn't a house yet.
Unless you are a fan of science fiction, in which case 42 means everything. But yes, generally without the joke, it is just a digit.
Fair point. Context is everything. Which brings us to step 2.
Okay.
Generally, data needs context. When you put data into a context, it becomes information.
The source uses the example of a photograph of a flamenco dancer.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
visualize this.
Imagine a photo of a woman in a red dress, mid-twirl. Her arms are raised, her face is intense. That is the data, the visual input. Now, context changes everything. If I put that photo in a dance textbook, what is the information being conveyed?
It is probably explaining a specific step. This is how you hold your posture. This is how you move your arms.
Exactly. The information is technical. But what if I take that same photo and put it in a photography magazine?
Then the information changes completely. Now it is about the shutter speed, the lighting, the rule of thirds.
Same data, different context, different information. This is where we get meaning. But, and this is critical, this is where the trap snap smells. Information is not learning.
This is the trap. This is where I get stuck. I have the information. I read the article about the flamenco dancer. I know the shutter speed. I know the name of the step. I feel smart. I feel like I know it.
But have you learned it? Step 3, learning.
Okay.
Learning happens when that information is transmitted and effectively sticks in your memory. The source makes a cheeky but valid point here.
Yeah.
This only happens if you aren't distracted by checking your social media feeds every 5 seconds.
Ouch. Called out. But it is true. We skim. We don't retain.
We function as pass-through entities for information. But let's say you do focus. You memorize the shutter speed. You memorize the dance step name. That is learning.
Right.
But learning is essentially storage. You have filed the information away in a mental cabinet. But here's the kicker. Learning is still useless if it doesn't serve the being.
It's just a file in a dark cabinet.
It is. You can have a head full of facts and a life full of misery.
So how do we open the cabinet? How do we use the file?
That brings us to step 4, knowledge. Knowledge is practical application. It is recognizing the dance when you see it in real life. It is understanding the culture behind it. Knowledge implies a relationship with the information.
Okay.
Knowledge can be rational, like knowing the history of the dance. It can be emotional, like interpreting the sadness in the dancer's face and feeling empathy.
But it is still external. I am still watching the dancer.
In a way, yes. You are an informed observer. You are a critic. You are an expert witness. But you are not yet the dancer. Which leads to the final, highest step. The summit of the mountain. Step 5. Experience.
The dance analogy really hits home here. This is the difference between the critic and the artist.
It does. You can read every book on dance. That is rational knowledge. You can watch a performance and weep at the beauty. That is emotional knowledge.
Right.
But you only know the experience of dance by getting up, putting on the shoes, and dancing.
By sweating. By feeling your muscles ache. By twisting your ankle. By feeling the rhythm thumping in your own chest.
Exactly. Experience cannot be transmitted.
Yeah.
This is the fundamental truth of the human condition. I can describe the taste of a strawberry to you for 100 years. I can give you the chemical breakdown of the esters and sugars. I can write you a poem about its sweetness that makes you cry. But until you put that fruit in your mouth and bite down,
you don't know.
You do not know the experience of a strawberry.
The source lists some heavy examples, too. The pain of losing a loved one, the thrill of victory. You cannot explain those. You have to live them.
You have to.
You can read all the grief books in the library, but when it hits you, it is a completely different landscape.
And this brings us back to our listeners' dissatisfaction. Why do people feel empty? Because they are hoarding information and learning, maybe even some knowledge. But they are starving for experience. They are reading the menu, critiquing the font on the menu, discussing the history of the dishes on the menu, but they never actually eat the food.
Man, that is powerful. Reading the menu but never eating the food, that defines the modern condition for so many of us. We are professional menu readers.
It explains the hunger. You cannot nourish the eye with menus. You need the meal. The eye only grows when it is fed by experience.
So I have to ask you, the listener, right now, where in your life are you stuck at the reading the book stage? Is there something you claim to know? Maybe it is how to be healthy. Maybe it is how to start a business. Maybe it is how to be a good partner. But you have never actually stepped onto the dance floor to experience it. What is stopping you from closing the book and moving your feet?
That is the question that moves you from observer to participant.
But wait, there is a nuance here. The essay makes a distinction that I found really challenging. It separates living from experience. And honestly, when I first read this, I thought it was just semantics. But the more I thought about it, the more it stung.
Yes, this is a critical distinction, and it is designed to sting. It pierces the ego.
It stung for me because I realized how much of my life falls into the first category.
The source argues that you can go through life without having experiences. It defines living not as being alive in the biological sense, but as routine, repeated actions, habits.
Right.
Doing things simply because they have always been done this way.
The zombie mode again. The autopilot.
Precisely. Think about your commute to work. You get in the car, you drive 30 minutes, you arrive. Do you remember the drive?
Usually, no. It is a total blackout. I was there, but I wasn't there.
That is living. When you are just living in this sense, there is no consciousness. You are a biological machine executing a script.
Yeah.
You eat lunch, but you don't taste it. You talk to your spouse, but you aren't really listening. You are just reciting pre-recorded responses.
And the consequence of this is that the I doesn't change?
Correct. Living, habit, does not transform the I. It leaves us empty because it lacks presence. It is just the passage of time. You are aging, but you are not growing.
Versus experience, which is defined as living knowledge with full consciousness.
Yes. When you do something with presence, with full attention, that is when it becomes an experience. That is what enriches and modifies the being. That is what makes you grow.
So it is not just about doing big, crazy things like skydiving or climbing Everest.
No.
It is about the quality of attention you bring to the things you are already doing.
Exactly. This is the secret.
Yeah.
You can have a profound experience just by washing the dishes.
Really?
If you are fully present for the temperature of the water, the texture of the plates, the rhythm of the movement, the sound of the bubbles popping, that becomes an experience. It feeds the eye.
Or you can travel the world, go to Paris, stand in front of the Eiffel Tower and just be living, just routine. If you were scrolling on your phone the whole time, worrying about emails, insulated from the reality around you.
That is a huge shift. It means the solution to dissatisfaction isn't necessarily changing your life on the outside. You don't need to quit your job and move to Bali.
Right.
But changing how you show up on the inside.
It is about waking up. The dissatisfaction you feel is your eye screaming that it is bored, it is stagnant. It needs the nutrition of conscious experience to grow.
It is the difference between merely existing and actually being alive.
So let's get real with the listener again. Look at your daily routine. Seriously, visualize your yesterday. How much of it was just automatic living stuff you did without thinking that left no mark on you, and how much of it was conscious experience moments where you were fully there, where you actually felt something change. If the balance is 90-10 towards automatic living, that is your sign. That is the alarm bell.
And realizing that is the first step to changing it. Awareness disrupts the habit.
Okay, so we know what we need to do. We need to move from data to experience. We need to wake up and stop just living by rote. But it is not that easy, is it?
All right.
If it were easy, everyone would be enlightened beings walking around in a state of bliss. There are things standing in our way.
There are always obstacles. The path of knowledge is not a caved highway. It is a jungle trail. And this brings us to the second main source for this essay, the work of Carlos Castaneda.
Now, Castaneda talks about the man of knowledge, which he describes literally as a magician or a sorcerer. And I know some listeners might roll their eyes at sorcerer thinking we were talking about fantasy novels.
Yes, but we need to strip away the Hollywood idea of magic here. We aren't talking about wands or potions or flying.
No fireballs.
No fireballs.
Yeah.
In this context, magic is described as the ability to make a correct decision that instantly transforms a terrible reality into a manageable one.
I love that definition. Here is a conflict, and now it is gone.
That is real power. Think about a time you were in a heated argument. The reality was terrible. Anger, shouting, pain.
Yeah.
Then maybe you said exactly the right thing, or you changed your perspective instantly, and the fight dissolved. Peace returned. That shift, that is magic. It is about perception and action. It is seeing the solution so clearly that the problem ceases to be a problem.
But to get to that level of clarity, to become a man of knowledge who can perform that kind of magic, you have to fight. The source lists 4 specific enemies. And they aren't monsters under the bed, they are concepts.
They are insidious because they are part of us. They're natural stages of growth, but if we get stuck in them, they become enemies that kill our aliveness. They are the gatekeepers.
Let's run through them because I think everyone listening will recognize at least one of these in their life right now. Enemy number 1, fear.
Fear is the first hurdle. It stops you before you even begin. It prevents information from being acquired in the first place.
How so?
I'm afraid to look stupid. I'm afraid it's too hard. I'm afraid of what I might find.
It is the gatekeeper. If you cannot get past fear, you never even start the ladder. You stay in the it, paralyzed. You never sign up for the class. You never ask the girl out. You never apply for the job.
Precisely. Fear keeps you safe, but it keeps you small. To defeat it, you don't ignore it. You acknowledge it, and you take the step anyway. You move despite the fear.
Okay, let's say we beat fear. We start learning. We get some wins. We feel good. Then comes enemy number 2, and this one really surprised me. Clarity.
Clarity is a tricky one. It sounds like a good thing, right? We all want clarity. We pray for clarity.
Yeah, isn't clarity the goal? Why is it an enemy?
Not at this stage. Here, clarity refers to a false sense of completion. It is the arrogance of, I figured it out.
Oh.
It is when you learn a little bit about a topic and suddenly you think you are the expert.
It is the Dunning-Kruger effect. It is the I know that already syndrome.
Exactly. When you think you know everything, you stop looking, you stop questioning, you stop listening. It prevents the further growth of the self because you are satisfied with your current blueprint.
You think the blueprint is the house.
You do. It creates a blindness to nuance.
That is so dangerous. It is like when you learn a little bit about politics or nutrition and suddenly you are lecturing everyone at the dinner table and you stop listening to actual experts because you have clarity.
And that stops the flow of new knowledge. You stagnate in your own certainty. To defeat clarity, you must cultivate humility. You must realize that what you know is a tiny grain of sand on a massive beach. You must remain a student.
Okay, so we have to stay humble. We beat fear. We avoid the trap of clarity. We keep learning. Then comes enemy number 3.
Power. Power. This is the enemy of the successful. Once you have true knowledge, once you have defeated fear and maintained humility long enough to learn deeply, you gain an advantage.
Right.
You can do things others can't. You understand things others don't. The temptation, the enemy, is when this power corrupts the being.
How so? Is it about becoming an evil villain?
It is more subtle. It turns the I into something rigid. You start using knowledge to control others, to dominate rather than to grow. You become a tyrant of your own little world. Instead of the knowledge serving the being becomes a slave to maintaining its power.
You stop playing the music and start demanding everyone else clap.
Yeah.
You stop serving the work and start demanding the work serve you.
A vivid way to put it.
Yeah.
It kills the joy of discovery because you are too busy defending your throne. To defeat power, you must remember that knowledge is a gift to be shared, not a weapon to be wielded. You must remain kind.
And finally, if we manage to stay humble and kind with our power, there is one last enemy, the final boss. Enemy number 4, old age.
And this isn't just about biological age or wrinkles. You can be 80 and defeat this, or you can be 25 and lose to it.
Right, because I know plenty of young people who have this problem.
Exactly. This is the fatigue of the soul. It is the refusal to form new experiences. It is saying, I have done enough, I am tired, I will just rest on what I have.
It is the I'm too old for this excuse. It is the I don't need to learn TikTok, that's for kids attitude, but applied to everything.
Yes?
I don't need to make new friends. I don't need to travel.
It is the moment you decide your eye is finished building. You hang up the under construction sign and say, done. You stop refreshing yourself. You stop stepping onto the dance floor because you prefer the chair. And when that happens, the eye begins to wither.
So these 4 enemies, fear, clarity, power, old age, they are basically checking your ID at every stage of life, trying to stop you from growing.
They are. They are the friction of existence. And the strategy to overcome them is simple to say, but hard to do.
What's the strategy? How do we win?
You must remember that all knowledge is valuable. You have to maintain the hunger. You have to realize that knowledge is the only path to a full life. It strengthens the self. If you give in to the enemies, you stop living and start merely existing.
You become a ghost in your own life.
Exactly.
It is about fighting for your right to be fully alive. It is an act of rebellion against stagnation.
Yes. Defeating these enemies isn't a one-time battle. You don't beat fear once and it is gone forever. You beat it today. Then you have to beat it again tomorrow. It is a daily practice of choosing curiosity over fear, humility over clarity, service over power, and vitality over fatigue.
Wow. Okay, listener, I want to put this to you. Which of these 4 enemies is standing in your doorway right now? Be honest.
Yes. Look them in the eye.
Is it fear holding you back from starting that new thing? Are you scared you'll fail? Is it clarity making you think you already know it all, making you dismissive of other people's views? Is it power? Are you holding on to control too tight at work or at home? Or is it the old age of the soul? Are you just refusing to try because you're tired? Identifying the enemy is the first step to defeating it.
Absolutely. Once you see it, you can make that magical decision to change the reality. You can choose to be a warrior of knowledge.
So where does this leave us? We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We have. We started with the confusion of synonyms, understanding that information is not knowledge. We defined the I and the it, and realized that we build our I by integrating values from the world around us. We learned that the body itself is a vehicle, an it, that we must drive with consciousness.
We climbed the ladder from raw data to information to learning to knowledge and finally to the holy grail, experience. We learned that reading the menu isn't the same as eating the meal.
And we distinguish between living, the automatic zombie-like routine, and experience, which is living with consciousness. We challenged the listener to wash their dishes with presence.
And finally, we armed ourselves against the 4 enemies: fear, clarity, power, and old age. We know what they look like now. We know their tricks.
The overarching message is this: knowledge lived with consciousness is the only thing that transforms the I. You cannot settle for just accumulating information. That is just hoarding.
Right.
And you cannot settle for automatic living. That is just sleepwalking.
You have to step onto the dance floor. You have to eat the strawberry. You have to feel the wind. You have to engage with the it to build the I. That is the only way to build a self that is truly yours.
It is the difference between a life that is watched and a life that is lived. And frankly, the watched life is boring.
And look, we have thrown a lot at you today, but as we always say,
don't simply take our word. Put everything you heard here to the test. Make this knowledge truly yours.
Don't just file this episode away as learning in your brain cabinet. Go out and apply it. Turn it into knowledge and experience. Pick one thing, one it, that you want to bring into your I this week.
We would love to hear how you do that.
Yes. Please share your ideas, your thoughts, and your experiences in the comment section. Did you identify an it that you want to make an I? Did you spot one of the 4 enemies lurking in your life? let us know. And hey, if this was useful to you, like the podcast and subscribe to learn more about similar topics. We are building a community of people who want to wake up.
It is a journey worth taking.
It absolutely is. Thank you for diving deep with us today. Go out there, face the enemies, and build something beautiful. Remember that the power is yours.